Okay, final prep. I'm about to position the engine on my stand, table, and jack for installation tomorrow. And I think I have put every single thing on the engine that it's logical to do before moving it into position. That excludes the air box because that's going to get in the way of connecting one of the cooling hoses. And I should say drivetrain. This is the whole thing. And I thought I would get a little bit of footage to document because it has been helpful for me to look back and see exactly what was where. Maybe it'll be helpful again. Air conditioner, of course. I left it sealed up so as to not lose the charge. But this is where we are. All right, in position and ready to slide under. After all that work, though, I still broke the thermal thingamabob. I think OK Garage on the West Coast has these in stock. I think I can go ahead and put the engine in, and when that comes in, I can replace it easily, crawling into the cabin of the van, but damn it. Otherwise, I'm pleased. The Sambar engine is now hanging. There are only 3 mounts. The forward mount roughly in the center of the vehicle, and then 2 mounts on the back. There's this chassis bar with the engine mounts too. So really you only have 3 engine mounts to contend with. There is a 4th transmission mount back here that isolates some of the vibration, but as far as connecting it to the chassis, it's just those 3 points. So now that it's hanging on its own mounting points, then I can get to work on connecting everything and then a test fire. I have everything except for the last 2 engine covers, which go over the carburetor here. I think I have everything in place. All the hoses replaced. We've run it several times, 5 minutes at a time. No leaks. The oil and filter have been changed. There is an exception here. I broke a thermal device that's on the coolant return neck, and these 2, the EGR, there's a vacuum, a switch that I'm still waiting on for it to arrive, and the EGR diaphragm that opens and closes the EGR valve. Those will have to wait until the parts come in, but I believe everything else is ready to go. New filter too, air filter. Oh yeah, one more excuse me, one more thing. Got those last covers. This is where the PCV, gosh, I always get that wrong. That's where the crankcase ventilation hose would connect. However, the hose is shot. And I also have on order an oil catch can that should have already arrived, but it has not. So there is one more thing in addition to the EGR valve that needs to be done. Burning off some of that WD-40 that I ran down into the ports, the valves, on the cylinders. Got a little movement on our coolant. One of my shields is not tight. I can hear it rattling. Down here, yeah. up under. That shield isn't tight. But yeah, so the water pump is pumping because I can hear it gurgling. The timing belt is keeping time. We'll let it idle for a moment and check for leaks. Well, I did my first startup, and I only put distilled water into the cooling system, and it's a good thing I did because within about 3 minutes of cranking it, an old T-fitting, I believe this is the heater core feed line, I put new hoses on it, but I didn't replace the T, and the T just burst. So fortunately, I think there was a generic one available at my Advance Auto that looks like it's going to fit. I'm also going to drain and replace the coolant, even though it's only a couple of months old, because I had the engine open, and it's always a possibility that some contaminants got into the coolant. And same for the transmission oil. I'm going to replace that because it could have been diluted when I was using engine cleaner on the transmission prior to painting. So I'm going to replace those two things as well, and then start bolting the wheels and suspension back on. After my test run, I don't see any coolant leaks or oil leaks. Seems to be idling fine. I'm about to replace the oil filter. I've drained the oil because while I had it out, I put motor flush in there and let it sit. The instructions say idle it for 5 minutes without revving it. Turn the engine off, drain the oil, change the oil and filter, and that's what I'm about to do. Alright, the Subaru Sambar is back on the road. The repairs seem to have worked well, and yeah, it's a delight. It's running smoothly. The air conditioner is cold. It may be my imagination. I think it's got a little more power than it did before because I cleaned so much schmutz out of the intake and the carburetor and fixed a bunch of vacuum lines and things like that. It seems to me that it's running better than before. I love it. Here is my inexpensive Amazon purchase, an oil catch can. I think I paid about $30 for this delivered. And yeah, it's really hard to beat that, honestly. CNC billet catch can. Yeah, so I want to be able to check the catch can and empty it without having to take out the engine cover, which is in the back of the van, partially because my speaker is bolted in place, and that's a real pain in the neck to get out on purpose to make it harder to steal. So while I normally wouldn't mount anything near an exhaust, I think this will be fine. If the oil cooks off, that's fine. I'll scrape the catch can cup out from time to time, but this is probably the best place to mount it, because this space will be taken up by the hinges of the bumperette, the engine cover. So I think I'm going to mount it right here. It'll feed into the catch can and exhaust. I'm not sure I've got enough light to see it, but there's an intake port on the air box that it will connect to. The crankcase ventilation system now has an oil catch can. I've got new lines. Goes in, there's some steel wool. The surface area helps condense the oil vapors and collect them in the bottom of the cup. And the air exit now goes into the breather tube where the old PVC, or PCV rather, whatever, dumped just straight in. It was just a bad design, you know. high revving engine, there's going to be a lot of oil vapor, and there was quite a bit of gunk. So I have to be careful, but I should be able to lower the bumperette from time to time and unscrew and empty out the oil catch can.